Attention! All things shared in this video are simply the opinions of the Unexplained Files. The following footage is not tampered with, and all of the events and reactions are unplanned and genuine.
There we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an episode of the Unexplained Files. If this is your first time here, then you have visited the best and greatest paranormal YouTube channel in the UK. And today we're going to be reacting to one of my favourite and quite an interesting topic, which actually I got inspired by Mum to check this one because she was obsessed with this one. And I remember when I was younger, she told me a little bit about this. So I've done a tiny bit of research on it before. And so we're going to be taking a look at the Winchester Mystery House. And also the person who created this video, we're going to credit you in the description. So if you guys want to check out the full video of this without our commentary, check it down in the link below.
We're going to explore a bit of history that is not well known to the public. A truth that defies the lore that was even adapted into the 2018 film Winchester. The legend that is often told says that Sarah, the wife of William Winchester, the founder of the Winchester,
Oh, the wife. I thought it was the daughter.
faced a lot of tragedy in her life with the death of several family members. Then in 1881, after the death of her husband, Sarah had met with a psychic medium who told her that she was
Sick old seance.
Oh, yeah.
killed by her husband's guns. She was instructed to build a grand house that could confuse the spirits so they would not find her. As work continued on the house, Sarah would supposedly retreat into a seance room to contact the spirits and plead with them to leave her be.
Can you imagine that, like, back in the day, believing that so much that you've gone to all that effort of...
Building all that business. Do you reckon they said that she had a seance room? Do you think the same medium that convinced her that this was going on was also employed and just sort of lived in a seance room, and she's just scammed her way into a massive house?
Maybe.
I find that to be a weird premise. Like, I mean, I understand, you know, she's freaked out by the prospect of all the people who've been killed by Winchester guns, like, haunting her. But does that count onwards? Because a lot more people since that point have been killed by Winchester guns. So this house either needs to get a lot bigger, or curse is over.
And I
she's
assume the
chilling.
company's still going, Winchester.
Oh, yeah, yeah. As far as I know it is, yeah.
That is the legend, but how true is it? Thanks to the internet, historians have been able to paint a much more vivid picture of the story of Sarah Winchester and her famous house. And the truth can be more interesting than fiction. Sarah Lockwood Pardee was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. Her father was a carpenter.
So they're
and so
right near
instilled
the
in her
Wild
an
West
interest
times,
for
not too
architecture
far
and
back.
design. William Wirt Winchester met
Look at those chops, man.
Their families were neighbors, and the two families had grown close. The couple married in 1862, and soon after, William's sister died in childbirth, and the infant son would die soon after, along with her other 2-year-old son. Sarah was no stranger to the death of a sibling. In childhood, one of her sisters had died young. Death would now be a constant theme in the lives of Sarah and William from this point on, focused on their passion for architecture with the construction of a home on Prospect Hill. In 1869, Sarah's father died, but a decade later, there was a 10-month period of grief that would forever alter her future. In May of 1880, Sarah's mother died, and in December, her father-in-law died as well. And most tragically, the next year, in March of 1881, her husband William died of tuberculosis.
Not going well, is it?
No, it really isn't. I was going to say, like, you hear this story of a woman who's gone and seen a psychic medium, and, you know, been convinced of all this, all these horror stories of her own doing, not her own doing, but still, that she's bound to suffer. And you think you're a bit mad. Like, why would you just assume that? But then when you actually hear the backstory of a person who death has been so prevalent in their life, you can kind of think, oh, okay, maybe like this clinging on to the potential of the paranormal in a way is like coping mechanism to think that all these people that she's lost are still somewhere out there, and it's an opportunity for her to see them again.
That was around like the hype with all the seances and all that stuff.
Yeah.
People proper believed in it and that, didn't they?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, for a psychic medium, this woman is a gold mine, because they're going for people who are grieving and are struggling. So, well, at that time anyway, I'm not going to say that people are necessarily the same now.
Right.
Nowadays, it's more, I'm going to make a TV show and scam millions. But aside from that, but it is interesting to see the backstory. In a strange way, there's a logic in there that kind of makes a lot of sense. But I must say, when I saw the Winchester Mystery House from above, it looked like some sort of hello, dog. It looked like some sort of 1950s golf club, like golf clubhouse. Yeah. We have our Unexplained Files dog taking part now. Brands.
He's come to react with us. No,
You can sit down. Thank you, bud. Thank you, bud. Right, lay down, bud.
Sarah had inherited from him a $20 million fortune and half ownership in her husband's rifle business, and she was left to support herself. Sarah had truly loved her husband, and his death left a great hole in her heart. She would spend her free time down by the seashore, looking away at the vast ocean. In 1884, her rheumatoid arthritis became so advanced that in order to manage her aches and pains, her physician recommended moving to a warmer, drier climate, suggesting California. It was that same year that her elder sister, Mary Converse, died.
Imagine you're an intruder and you go in there and someone finds you and they bust out a Winchester rifle and boof, you get blasted over to the other side and wake up in the same house, not knowing where the fuck you're going.
She hired architects to redesign her home, but was unsatisfied, so she took up the mantle alone. Sarah had leaned on her passion for architecture to pass her time and deal with her grief. She didn't socialize much, as her disability and morphing disfigurement left her somewhat of a recluse. However, she did develop close professional friendships with her servants and carpenters. She treated them well, paid them well, and of course, they all shared similar interests. Sarah called her new home Llanada Villa, since the surrounding landscape reminded her of Llanada Alavesa in Spain, a place she had previously visited with her late husband.
Even just like looking at the way it's laid out on the front of it, it looks all over the place. It's hard to really follow what's going on with all the way that it dips in, the balconies and the random lips on the little tower there. Yeah. It just, you feel like you're looking at just someone's disorganized mind that's just all over the places. It's strange how like you can see she was just frantic, like in the way that the house is built.
Sarah would end up supporting her family for the rest of her life, as she had no children of her own, and her remaining family had meant so much to her. Her sister Estelle would suffer from a failed marriage and die from substance abuse. The other sister, Isabel, would move out of the Winchester house and into her own home, and Sarah helped with the renovations. The only family member who ended up living in the Winchester house with Sarah was her niece, Daisy. With nothing but an excess of space, money, and time, Sarah now had the freedom to explore her love of architecture to her heart's desire. She began adding more rooms to her home, creating a third floor, then a fourth and a fifth. She visited many architectural and garden exhibitions, learning new techniques and styles that she could experiment with.
Some people think that spirits would be unhappy if a building was changed or if their place of rest was disturbed. This wouldn't really be anyone's place of rest. I know she believed that the spirits of people killed by Winchester guns would be here, but this was constantly evolving, constantly changing. So if you were to look at spirits as though they were soaked into an environment, if this is constantly changing, there's new walls and different areas built, how much of that energy, if it was trapped, would be able to come back out, because it's constantly evolving.
Imagine investigating as well. You'd just fucking flip out, wouldn't
you?
Yeah. You'd just be going in and out of places and like come at a dead end. You'd
especially
be like,
in the dark.
You'd start freaking yourself out, I think.
Imagine coming home, off of a night out into this place, and you're walking upstairs that lead to nowhere.
While the house was designed in a style called Queen Anne Revival, it was anything but typical for its era. Since Llanada Villa was part of her hobby and was never intended to be completed, Sarah would not work off of a master plan. Instead, she made additions room by room, section by section. And it didn't matter whether a room was midway through construction or if it had been seen through to completion. If she felt she could design it better, then she would have her carpenters rip it out and start anew. But it wasn't all hard work. Sarah would also dismiss the workers for long periods of rest, sometimes lasting several months of inactivity on the house. And when they would come back to resume their work, they were often eager to finish a previous project and start up a new one.
The sense I'm getting from this, it went from, rather than being something that's like, oh, a fear that she had to sort of run from and being haunted by spirits of, her family's victims, I guess, it was more so it became just a passion project that she kind of got to experience in her life. Like, she experienced a lot of grief anyway and a lot of loss. She was basically by her niece. She was alone for the remainder of her life. This kind of became her new life in a way.
I was going to say obsession, but if they took months-long breaks, then obviously
this seems just more like a passion, really, something she could get into, and it's a quite creative thing and quite a joyful thing actually. So, if anything, the darker picture that the story paints of it is quite the opposite to what it actually was. Maybe this wasn't a clinging on to the afterlife hope that she had. If anything, this was just a way to enjoy her life as it was. This video definitely paints it in a more positive picture than the stories sort of say of it. Well, so I think, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with watching the video to that point, because I think this is just
turning out a lot different than what I was.
Yeah, it seems a lot more positive, and I think looking at the way that she had other sort of properties and real estate and stuff like that, you can tell she wasn't driven mad and felt the need and the burden to just carry this on through her life. This was her passion, architecture and real estate, and like, ironically, having lost her family and the one thing she probably wanted, she was just concerned about building homes and maintaining places for people to be looked after and kept safe. So if anything, this isn't a madness that she's been driven to. If anything, this is like, I want to look after these people and building these homes and keeping that for them. It's quite a positive way to turn out, really.
Yeah.
And it looks like, although she would have had a lot of staff and a lot of workers, they are all like their own family in a weird way, where she's provided work for them throughout their entire life, or at least for her entire life. So they would have been looked after. That seems to be the common theme about this, and the whole haunted by spirits across time that hasn't really played a part, full stop, other than what that medium said. I wonder if that's even true.
Don't know. It could have just been a part of the beginning of it. I don't know.
Yeah, like how much of this would have changed over time. And if the medium said that it was just build the house and that was it, and she did it.
Because if she was just a rich woman and in the same situation, but without the Winchester husband, she might have still done the same thing.
Well,
anyway.
yeah, exactly. Well, what do you do when you've lost most things and you're already passionate about sort of building and architecture and so on, and now you have all the money in the world, right? Nothing to do but spend it. But an interesting story nonetheless. I definitely still want to look into this a lot deeper, perhaps make a case file on it, and when we make a case file about it, I think I'll delve into the legend side of it, the sort of scary, darker parts that there supposedly are, and then we can also cover the actual, more realistic, probably more passion and joy-based
and then
aspect
go
of
there
it.
and do an investigation.
That'd be the dream, wouldn't it? That'd be an incredible investigation. What do you reckon, guys? Do you want us to go investigate the Winchester Mystery House? Get subscribing, because we need some sway to let them know that we're the business.
And what did you know about this, like, coming into it? Because as far as I was aware, I just knew about the house and all the weird rooms and like the supernatural kind of element to it. So
I think most, like a lot of people that would have heard of this, I first probably heard about this in like the 2010s on some haunted TV show talking about the crazy woman haunted by the spirits of the victims of Winchester guns. So yeah, where did you hear of this? What do you think of this? Are you still convinced that there is a darker side to this, that perhaps she was haunted by the fact that spirits could be chasing her for all the time? Or do you think this is probably just a woman enjoying her fortune, enjoying her life and trying to make the most of it?
And there was never any talk of paranormal experiences or anything about ghosts and that. It was just...
If anything, it was just making her life easier by adapting the house to her. Like this was very much this was a labour of love, not a burden, by the sounds of things. But an interesting take. Do you guys even think that a place like this would be haunted? Something that's constantly changing and evolving like that? Because I would think actually it would be this sort of more stagnant, unchanged places that would lead me to think.
I know, like when you hear a lot about when you've got properties and then people start doing renovations on it, it kicks up like some kind of activity.
But these are usually places that have sat one way for a long time, and then they're like someone's lived an entire life in there, and then it's starting to get switched up and modernised. But this place never sat still long enough, really.
Interesting.
An interesting one. So what do you guys think? The Winchester Mystery House. We're going to do a case file on this in a couple of weeks probably, so we could do a bit more research and paint you guys a better picture of it. Once again, if you want to check out this full video for yourself and look up some more, I will leave the creator's link and the video link in the description for you, so you can go and enjoy that without our commentary. And yeah, let us know what you think about this one. A very interesting case of somewhat paranormal based things, but perhaps not. Maybe just an interesting person in general. But there we go, guys. That was another episode of The Unexplained Files. I want to thank you for coming along and joining us on this reaction. If you want to check out some more of our reactions, you can click the iCard up there. We've reacted to some of YouTube's best haunted and funniest haunted moments. I'm thinking of that weird dog-type creature. I'm looking back on that.
I know, like, one that we might want to do. I know Dawn mentioned it in a comment recently of if we can, like, react to like the different well-known like hauntings, you know, like the Enfield Poltergeist, but like a series of the well-known ones.
Yeah,
and, like,
that would be good. We did it. We've done an Enfield haunting one already, haven't we? So that's one. If you enjoy the story or have heard loosely about the Enfield haunting and you want to check out our reactions to some of that information, you can check that up in the iCard as well. We also have plenty of paranormal investigations of our own that you can go and check out. We've had some where we've heard unexplained bumps and bangs that we still haven't got to the bottom of. We've seen shadowy type figures that at the time we never noticed, but when editing the footage we've taken a look and noticed. And we also have some groans and unexplained noises and things like that and equipment going off. So if you want to take a look at those videos, once again, the iCard at the top there. If you like stories like this, the Winchester Mystery House, and you want a bit more information than we have at our case files, a more well-made series where we go in depth and research them, so you can check that one out there. And we also have our Unexplained Files podcast where we just talk about most things, to be honest. We talk about what we think about spirits and spirituality and history of cultures and aliens and goodness knows what, whatever crosses our mind.
It starts off as a certain topic
and
it
just
drifts
veers
off
off
into all kinds of stuff.
So if you want more long form content like that, go take a look. And we hope you enjoyed this evening's video, and we hope to catch you again soon. With all that said, I wish you a wonderful rest of your evening. Goodbye.
Woo!